All right, let's kick this off by immediately going up something very steep. I'm going to try to not mess my mic up here. So, this is the 2018 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. This is the good one. This is the expensive one, but this is the one you can take anywhere. Oh my God, I feel like I'm going to flip. I'm a baby when it comes to off-roading. Like the littlest bit of angle change in a vehicle, I'm like, oh, I'm flipping. But I'm not, because it's really not that dramatic on the outside, even though this is definitely three-wheel motion happening outside. But this TRD Pro handles it like it's nothing. Very impressively. In fact, it's downright comfortable in here. And I just have it in 4 high. I didn't put it into 4 low to get up that. No need. Under the hood, we have a 4-liter V6 engine making 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. And it's more than enough to get this up that big hill with all the huge divots. It probably doesn't look as impressive on a GoPro camera, but this is steep and it's really rutted, and so you need serious articulation to be able to get up there, and this has all of that. It has 17-inch TRD Pro specific wheels wrapped around Nitto Terra Grappler tires. Good tires. I'm a BFG man myself, but those Nittos are no problem out here. Up front, in case we bounce the nose off the ground, there's a TRD embossed skid plate, aluminum skid plate. It looks cool. It protects everything under the nose of this vehicle. So what's the deal with the TRD Pro 4Runner? This is the one for the people who want to and actually are going to go off-road and go adventuring. Let's go places, it says right on the back of this vehicle. And you can. You can go pretty much anywhere right from the dealership floor. And you're going to look damn good doing it, because for 2018 you can get this in this Calvary blue paint. I love the blue on this, especially matched with the black wheels. Because this is a TRD Pro, you also get the color matched over fenders. You also get the hood scoop. It's color matched. The bumper surround is color matched. If you stepped up to the Limited, you get a chrome grille trim, but that just doesn't seem right on a 4Runner. All other trims, it's either black or color matched. And I think it looks really good color matched. Now, you are paying a lot, of course, for the TRD Pro. This one, as tested, the base price is $42,000. This one is about $45,000. Tons of money. And all week long, I've been thinking, man, I really love this thing, but it's so expensive. And then I thought about the Jeep Wrangler I just had, the 2-door Sport, which was $38,000. So if you compare this to a 4-door, an unlimited Jeep, which is easily in the 40s, and once you get a Rubicon spec Wrangler, you're near or at or above $50,000, depending how nuts you go at the dealership. So this is cheaper than that, and it's more useful on a daily basis. There's more room in the back to haul stuff. There's more room inside for your passengers. There's some big rocks, which I hope I do not hit. Okay, safe. Keep that Calvary blue paint nice and shiny. So it's more useful. The utility of this, it's at a higher level than the Jeep. The Jeep is a fun vehicle that is way better than it's ever been. I love the Wrangler, but I always talk about how price doesn't make sense. It starts to make sense on this one when you compare it to the more expensive Jeep, because this can go almost everywhere that the Jeep can. Pretty darn close. The Rubicon might have a slight edge in some low-range crawling stuff, but just in general daily driving and livability, this is probably the better vehicle. Now, the Jeep does have an advantage where its infotainment system is much better. This is an area where the 4Runner lets me down and lets you know that it is a dated vehicle. It's been around, this one hasn't been around for 34 years, but the 4Runner has been around for 34 years, and it's only evolved slightly. This center screen it looks like a child's toy. It really needs to be updated. The screen is tiny. For a $45,000 vehicle, you deserve better right here. The seats in the Wrangler are way better. For some reason, the seating position just feels odd. It feels like my legs are farther out in front of me, so that I'm like almost sitting on top of the seat rather than in it. I want to sit in the vehicle instead of on top of the vehicle, if that makes sense. Here, it just feels like your legs are in a weird position, and maybe it's a tall guy thing. I'm 6'3". There's no issues with headroom. My back is fine, but my leg position is weird, and I don't have an issue sitting in most vehicles. I'm lucky, like I can fit in all the Miatas and I have no problems there. Somebody in my the Jeep video complained that if you're over 6 feet, you can't fit comfortably in a Wrangler, which is totally not true. At 6'3", I was supremely comfortable in the Wrangler. But in the 4Runner, I thought I'd be just as, if not more, comfortable, but it's not the case. It takes longer to find a comfortable seating position in this vehicle, but once you are rolling and you forget about your seating issues, the rest of it is great. Now, I would love to see an update to the engine too, though, if I'm being honest. It's these days you kind of need 300 horsepower at least to compete with stuff. It'd be awesome if someone stuffed, say, a V8 in one of these. But that's not a factory thing, that's aftermarket. It'd be nice if there was a full pumped up crazy spec of the TRD Pro that had a 5-liter V8 engine under the hood, or something massive. But that gets away from the spirit of what the 4Runner is, and just go buy a Land Cruiser and spend $90,000 if you want that. But the basics of the 4Runner are still great. You don't really need a TRD Pro to do all of this. You can do it far more comfortably and under warranty in the TRD Pro. But if you got an SR5 or a TRD off-road, you're nearly there. And then a few aftermarket upgrades and you are there or beyond what the TRD Pro offers. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer or you don't mind buying a lower spec one and then adding stuff to it later, you can absolutely go that route and have a blast. But if you're a person who just wants to hop in and go factory fresh, full warranty intact, the TRD Pro is the one for you. And it is nice. There is good room. There's plenty of leg room behind me, even with the kid seat back there. There's great room in the rear storage area. The hatch opens nicely. Now, another weird quirk, though, I gotta talk about the pluses and the minuses. Another weird quirk is that this has a key. That's how you get reminded that this is an older vehicle. In a $45,000 vehicle, I want to keep the key fob in my pocket and not think about it, and just have the doors unlock when I grab the handle, and then press the button and be ready to go. Doesn't happen here. Seems odd, but whatever. The final way that this feels dated, it's a 5-speed automatic gearbox. Imagine how much nicer your highway commute would be with that 6th gear, just pure overdrive, highway, fuel economy minded gear. I'm averaging 16 miles per gallon. I'm enjoying this car, though, on my local roads and this off-road portion here. So, that's not the fault of the vehicle. It's actually decent considering the amount of off-roading I've been doing with this thing. But still, a 6th gear for highway cruising would be a very nice thing. Now, on-road manners, you're sacrificing when you get the TRD Pro because of the suspension travel. This has rear Bilsteins with remote reservoirs, so you have a lot of travel in the back. Up front, you have TRD tuned springs and suspension fully going on up there. So the ride is actually really comfortable, but there's a lot of nosedive under braking, which is kind of fun. I don't know if your passengers would get sick of it eventually, but for me, there's that nosedive under braking, which reminds you that you're in a vehicle that's purpose-built. Interestingly, there's a 2019 TRD Pro coming out, and they're ditching the Bilsteins. They're ditching them for Fox. They're going aluminum Fox, remote reservoir, shocks, or it's either internal bypass or remote reservoir on those. They're ditching those. They're going all aluminum Fox shocks, which those are great. That's a great suspension setup. It seems like everybody really likes the Fox running gear underneath their vehicles. Raptor owners certainly enjoy it. Chevy can still kick back and go, nobody's doing the spool valve except us on the ZR2, but the Foxes are great. I'm curious how it will change the on-road behavior, if it'll cut out some of that nosedive. I doubt it. But again, it's not like trophy truck nosedive, which if you ever been fortunate to ride in one of those, it's like a thrill ride when you hit the brakes. But here, this one, it's noticeable. You'd probably get used to it after a while of owning and driving one of these. Now, looks-wise, this thing does look great. As I mentioned, the Calvary blue paint is fantastic with the black 17-inch wheels that are TRD Pro specific. There's TRD Pro badges all over the place. There's embroidered in the seats, on the shift lever, TRD everywhere. I mean, they want to put their stamp of approval that they worked hard on this. Now, you buy one, it's all fancy, but you do want to get it dirty. You definitely want to take it and get it dirty. And you have a lot of advantages over what a regular 4Runner has to offer. You have a crawl mode. You put this in 4 low, and you have a crawl mode that can crawl forward and reverse at low, medium, different speeds. You can set the speed. It'll crawl up. It'll go slow. It'll, utilizing the throttle and the braking to just crawl you along so that you can focus on steering your way through whatever's in front of you. There are different driving modes depending on what you're doing. You have to be into at least 4 high to activate the different driving modes up here, and then you can select between the lightness and the heaviness of what you're going. If it's just some gravel, or if you're in full big ruts and rocky stuff, it alters how the torque is metered out, how much wheel spin it allows, and all sorts of that stuff. I know where traction control is. I now know where traction control is. Traction control is up here. I'm going to turn that off. You can lock the rear differential, and then there's an A-track button, which is like a torque vectoring adjustment system as well. So there's lots of modes and systems to get you moving. But at the beginning of this, when I went up that hill, all I did was put it in 4 high. I didn't touch traction control. I didn't touch any of these other systems. I didn't turn on the different off-road driving modes. And it just walked up that very steep section of hill like it was nothing. I find that very impressive. That's why I'm saying it's just as or nearly as capable as a Jeep JL Unlimited Rubicon. It's nearly there. The engine is not as exciting as the engine in the Jeep. Toyota really needs to give this thing a full makeover. I don't have a problem with the outside, but some nip and tuck might be good if you're going to do that. The interior is where we need to grow and evolve in the 4Runner. So better seating position. The seats themselves are all right, but a better seating position would be nice. A much nicer center stack for a $40,000+ vehicle. Push button start with keyless entry would be great as well. But the rest of it, the off-road chops are all there. And if that's why you're buying this, you probably don't care about the things I'm complaining about. And I get it. You don't care as much that it dives under braking. I get it. You might care a little bit, though, that when you press the brake, the initial, half inch of pedal travel, it feels like there's nothing. And then all of a sudden, the brakes grab fine. So once you realize that, you're in a good place. I mean, it is nice to have a vehicle that you can take anywhere. There's something really cool about that. There are a few vehicles that offer you that kind of comfort and freedom. On the lower end, it's vehicles like the Jeep and this 4Runner that are truly able to go wherever you want. And then on the higher end, you have Range Rovers and G-classes and stuff like that. But it's amazing that this and those $100,000+ machines can do the same thing. Like, you can't do that in the sports car world. You can't buy a Miata and go beat 911s at the track. As long as all drivers being equal, you can't do that. But with this, you can be out there wheeling against, I'm talking stock, against crazy rigs and have no issues and just enjoy yourself and smile and everybody's having a good time. That's kind of the fun about off-roading. You have the guys who go nuts and build these crazy rigs and they can climb, vertical walls with their 3,000 to 1 crawl ratios. But then you also just have the guys who show up. I don't want to say weekend warriors, because maybe if maybe it's more of a full lifestyle for you. But even if you are a weekend warrior, you can hop in this and just go. You can go almost anywhere. And that's awesome. Right from the factory. Just keep an eye on your nittos. Make sure your brakes are in spec. And have a ball. That's what the 4Runner TRD Pro is all about. Having a ball. And then crying a little bit when it comes time for your car payment. $45,000. It's a ton of money. That is a ton of money. For a lot of you, though, maybe it's money well spent. It looks cool, and it look cool and protect.